Hey, what's up, y'all? Dan back at you with another video, and I'm finally getting around to getting this video out for you all. With Lightfall finally coming very soon, with all the Light 3.0 updates out, I think it's finally time to just go through all the 12 subclasses that we currently have and talk about what my favorite builds are for each subclass of each of the classes. First, we're going to start off with Hunter, as I've been spending a lot of time, as a lot of the community has, using Hunter, especially with the buff to Gerfalcon's Hauberk. Hopefully I'm saying that correct, and giving basically infinite volatile. This build is going to be an extension of what the build was that I was using back in Season of the Risen, when Void Elemental Wells basically granted you infinite volatile rounds. This build is going to not take into account any artifact mods, so no matter when you see it, as long as Bungie doesn't change too much of the build, this was always going to be relevant for you to pick up and just add into your repertoire of just playing around in the game. We're going to take a look at the subclass and the aspect and fragments first. Now, as we look over the subclass, there's a few things I want to mention. I know a lot of people might be using the Trapper's Ambush to smoke you and your fire team. So if that's something you plan on doing, I do recommend still going with that. However, this is meant for a self-sufficient build for you to keep yourself alive 24/7. With that being said, we're going to take advantage of the two aspects that grant us the most fragments, which gives us the most freedom to use the build in the best way that we can. The first one being Vanishing Step, which grants us 2 fragments and also makes us go invisible when we dodge. A lot of this build will be built around first going invisible and staying invisible as often as possible, and also making as many volatile explosions from as many sources as possible as well. The other thing is going to be Stylus Executioner, which goes hand in hand with going invisible. For every time we kill an enemy that's suppressed, weakened, or volatile, we go invisible and get True Sight, which is wall hacks. The wall hacks are nice, but we're using it mainly to get the 2 fragments and also to constantly go invisible. Part of this loop is going to be taking advantage of Gerfalcons, which every time we go invisible, when we come out of invisibility, we have 10 seconds of volatile rounds to our weapons. This allows us to play as aggressive as we want or as defensive as we want at all times. Playing aggressive with taking advantage of volatile and invisibility, and also playing defensively as going to take advantage of the weakening and devour from being invisible all the time and also constantly healing. So once again, we're going to take advantage of those 2 things. Now, if you are in a team scenario and would prefer to keep your entire fire team invisible, feel free to swap out one of these. I would highly suggest keeping Stylish Executioner, but take advantage of getting rid of Vanishing Step and putting on Trapper's Ambush if you want to take advantage of that. For our fragments, there's going to be 4 possible options. We have 4 slots. 3 of these I think are a must-have, with the last one being a free slot for yourself based off of how you feel you need to make this build work for you. First up, we have Echo of Expulsion. Void ability, final blows causes targets to explode. Of course, we're taking advantage of volatile rounds, so every kill for the most part is always going to be a void ability. So every kill is going to make every enemy explode. Every explosion makes us go invisible. You see the pattern that we're doing. The next fragment is Echo of Starvation. Picking up an Orb of Power grants Devour. Because we're going to be constantly killing everything with void weapons, we're going to take advantage of Harmonic Siphon, which makes our void weapons grant orbs on mostly kills. Because we're picking up orbs anyway, we might as well have Devour constantly active at all times. This is another way of staying alive, another way of healing, and I think is a fantastic perk to add into your build. The final one being Void Grenades weaken targets, Echo of Undermining. Now, I know some people might say the weakening is not as good. However, because you're taking advantage of Stylus Executioner, it's just one more way of just constantly weakening, one more way of applying volatile, one more way of just keeping the gameplay loop of staying invisible, healed up, and having as much damage output as possible going. If this is all you really want to do, feel free to swap off of one of the things that I've already told you and put on something else that fits your build a little bit better. However, I do think these 3 are the best things to go. And besides that, we still have one more slot we can take advantage of. So a few options are Echo of Persistence, which void buffs applied to you based off of your invisibility. Overshield and Devour have increased duration If you just want to have more uptime on things, this is not a bad choice. Another choice being Echo of Instability. Defeating targets with grenades grants volatile rounds to your weapons. If for some reason you're not seeing the volatile as often as you need be, and for some reason you don't have a dodge or any other way to get volatile real quickly, might I suggest Echo of Instability. Not a bad choice. And finally, Echo of Obscurity. Finishers, final blows grant invisibility. This allows you to go invisible every time you finish an enemy. However, I do not think this one is as useful, because one way we can go invisible without taking advantage of this fragment is just applying volatile to an enemy and then killing them with a finisher. Because of you killing an enemy with a finisher while they have an ability applied to them, it still is coded, or I guess it grants you the ability of going invisible. So if you need to take advantage of invisibility, just weaken somebody with volatile and then finish them, and then boom, you're invisible while you are taking the finisher. If it was up to me, I would just take advantage of Echo of Persistence, just allow me to have a longer invisibility, longer overshield, and longer devour. I think the best way to take advantage of this is to take advantage of it for the overshield, but devour and invisibility just lasting longer is not a bad bonus as well. Again, for the super, we're taking advantage of Shadow Shot Deadfall. The reason we don't want to take advantage of Quiver just in this scenario, even though Quiver is a fantastic choice, there are some issues with shooting Quiver at a target, and then all those little volatile, or I guess those Quiver orbs in the air, will block your damage shooting at a boss. I've had many times where I've been trying to shoot at a boss, and for some reason I'm doing no damage because I'm shooting the little tether orbs. If you still want to take advantage of the 30% weakening that tether applies, and you don't really need the extra damage, or you have a full fire team, just go for put on tether, put on dead shot, and just allow the weakening to still take effect, but also not have your damage be blocked. For our mods, we're going to take advantage of a few things on our helmet, one being Reaping Wellmaker, where after you dodge, your next weapon kill gives you a guaranteed 100% Void Well. That Void Well is going to be taking advantage of Phantom Might, so we get an extra 25% damage bonus on all of our Void weapons every time we dodge. This can be applied over and over and over as long as we have a dodge. And of course, since we're getting a bunch of kills 24/7, Harmonic Siphon is also going to give us our Orbs of Power, so we can activate Devour whenever we need to have it up. And then a Finder and some Resilience Bonds are all you need. The gloves are going to take advantage of a pair of Arc gloves with Momentum Transfer and Powerful Friends. Momentum Transfer is there to give us the extra 20 stat points to our mobility, and then Momentum Control is also just going to give us increased melee generation off of grenade kills. Since we're going to have grenades a whole lot, we're going to constantly be throwing them, may as well get some ability energy back on our melees so we can have a snare more often. And especially if you want to take advantage of Trapper's Ambush and smoke you and your fire team more often, this is also a really good choice. For the chest piece, all we're taking advantage of is Phantom Might on the chest piece, and then some energy diffusion substrate mods just to have some increased damage resistance across the board. In the boots, we're going to take advantage of double recuperation, where every time we pick up a overpower, it's going to give us a lot of health back. It doesn't give you 100%, but about 75% of your health on every orb. This is just another way of just staying alive, playing aggressively, and constantly keeping yourself alive and refreshed up at all times. We're also going to take advantage of Explosive Wellmaker. Explosive Wellmaker is going to generate a solar well every time you get multi-kills with explosions. Now that could be anywhere between 3 kills and 5 kills. However, with volatile rounds, with a horde, and just a lot of other ways we can make a lot of explosions, all of those things count. So if we're constantly having volatile rounds going, all of those explosions from volatile rounds will grant elemental wells dropping pretty often. And then on the class item, we take advantage of the solar elemental wells, and then generate Well of Life, where every time we pick up a solar well, we get about 10 seconds of constant healing no matter what. This is just one more way to just constantly stay up on health and get all the time just constantly being in the fray of just fighting and not having to die. Since we're going to be able to dodge so often, we might as well take advantage of Double Bomber on our class item. Double Bomber is going to give us a portion of our grenade every time we dodge, so between all the ways we're constantly having our abilities, this allows for a very, very fun gameplay loop of just dodging, grenades, melees, explosions, kills, kills, kills. Looking out for weapons that have Demolitionist, Adrenaline Junkie, and Repulsor Brace are fantastic. Having very high burst damage weapons like Parasite are also a really good choice. Primary weapons with Osmosis can also generate volatile rounds if you take advantage of them on your primary weapons. And also Heart Shadow is really good. I would highly suggest checking out Heart Shadow if you haven't already. And that's it. Let me know in the comments how you are enjoying Void Hunter. Let me know what suggestions you might make in this build. I wanted to give you a rough outline, a rough draft of what you should be doing with this build, and I think this is a fantastic build that's going to stand the test of going all the way through Lightfall, and it's probably one of the ones you'll see people using in the new Lightfall Legendary campaign. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching it, and we have another one coming out very soon later on this week, so make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any videos. I'll see you very soon.